There must have been some moments late at night, there's drunk, vomiting kids around you, and you must have wondered, what am I doing here?
Oh, mate, I'm at home in that environment. I just think, wow, med students work very hard and are going to be some of the real leaders in our society. But when they're young, they do party as well. And there's no greater honour than holding a vomit bag for a med student going, mate, you're going to be doing this for me the rest of your life. This is the least I can do.
This is Life and Faith, a podcast where we seek to elevate the conversation about the things that matter, or should matter, deeply human questions about meaning, purpose and hope. No matter what you believe, we hope you'll join us exploring the complexities, the struggles and the joys of life and faith. Welcome to Life and Faith from CPX. I'm Simon Smart. At Life and Faith, we love stories where one person's initial and seemingly innocuous step to take action to address a challenge leads to lasting and monumental change. Well, today we have exactly that kind of story. It's a beauty.
I remember we clocked on one night and people were like, you need to get to level 2. It's only a 3-level place. You need to get to level 2. You need to get to level 2. So our team, we start shooting up there and we're like, okay, what are we going to see? And there's like blood up and down the hallway. And then we go out and, the fight had just broken up, but they had like forensic police coming out. Basically a whole bunch of randoms had come into the room and they were pushing and shoving, and next minute it just turned into this massive all-in brawl. Started in the room, spread out down the hallway. There were blokes being shipped off to hospital, and this was just a regular night.
Over 25 years ago, Andy Gourley, a skateboarding accountant and youth worker, was concerned about the young guys he was looking after as they headed off to the Gold Coast for schoolies. Now, schoolies is the week spent celebrating the end of Year 12 for 17 and 18-year-olds, people who've just finished exams and school, and they're letting off steam. It's a huge party, thousands of young people, and at the time Andy first went, it was quite notorious. Heaps of drinking, drugs, and unsupervised chaos that inevitably led to all sorts of terrible outcomes. Damage to property, fights, people injuring themselves, and older people turning up to take advantage of the young party-goers, and you can just imagine how that went. So Andy turned up with a small team of people to try to lend a hand and help keep things under control and keep people safe from life-changing mistakes and consequences. And there was one decision he made that changed the course of his life and the lives of countless others, both here in Australia and around the world.
It just so happened that one of the guys had a packet of red and green frogs and was snacking on them. The schoolies saw it and said, "You got frogs? I haven't had them for years. Like, you guys remember frogs?" And grabbed us by the shirt and peeled us into the room. And that was the first party of the unofficially titled Red Frogs.
As we come up to another year of schoolies, we spoke with Andy Gourley to hear about his story and his team, now known as the Red Frogs, and what it is they are so famous for. I began by asking him to explain the schoolies phenomenon.
Schoolies, one of the largest gathering of young people in our nation, where school leavers exit and party for a whole week in about 17, 18 different locations all around Australia. And it was really wild back in the day, like a lot of one-punch incidents and a lot of violence, a lot of hectic police situations. And come full circle about 25 years later, it's a really well-run response through police organisations, councils, not-for-profits, and, of course, our organisation, Red Frogs.
Yeah, so you're there in 1997, I think it is, and you're trying to offer some support to all the kind of chaos there in the high-rise unit blocks, as you described, lots of drinking, young people, a bit out of control. And the Red Frog literally becomes a way to get into these places. There's you and a bunch of kind of youth workers, is that right?
Yeah, correct. I was running skateboarding clubs in Brisbane for about 5-6 years, and when my skaters got to year 12, they went down to schoolies, and being a youth worker, I was really worried about them getting into the wrong scene, getting into fights, getting into some drugs. And so I went down to help them out. And when I got down to the Gold Coast, I just felt so sorry for hotel managers trying to keep a lid on 400 in their building and with themselves and 2 guards. And I just foolishly went to one of the managers and said, look, do you want a hand? And that was my famous last words. And I haven't been able to escape since. But they were just going, yes, please. We've got no idea how to manage this many teenagers in one place. So, yeah, just thought it was 17 of us. And now it's grown to about 1,500 volunteers and looking up to 70,000 schoolies all around Australia, Fiji, Bali.
Yeah, it's an amazing story, and we'll get to the way it's grown in a moment. But you kind of turn up, or someone gets the frog, these red jelly frog things, and somehow or other that becomes an entree into these wild parties, and you became associated with those things. It was a pretty interesting way that transpired.
Yeah, absolutely. Our original program name was called Hotel Chaplaincy, and we had event shirts, IDs, and there was teams of 4, and we just visit parties. We're just making sure they weren't doing crazy things on the verandas and making sure people weren't passed out in bathtubs and walking them home from the beaches. But we're having a bit of trouble getting into the parties. You'd be in the hotel lobby or hotel hallways and take about 10 minutes to talk your way into the party so you could just look after them. So went to my mate, Lukey, and I said, mate, there's got to be an easy way of doing this. And went to a random corner store, and there was a big box of Allen's Red Frogs sitting on this counter. We got this whole big box of frogs, went up to this big building, and the first door we knocked on, and as soon as we opened it, they just went, oh, red frogs, and just dragged us in, grabbing handfuls of red frogs. And it just worked as the ultimate icebreaker to get us into all these parties, even past big security guards that weren't letting us in. We give them bribing with red frogs, you get straight in. So it was quite amazing, just that accidental branding of the red frogs. So, but it took about 5-6 years before we changed our name to Red Frogs, because every year when we come down, the schoolies would just go, oh, froggers, and they'd give us that nickname. So it was just an accidental branding that stuck.
Isn't that amazing? And yeah, exactly. So the party goers gave you the name, and now it's the brand. Now, it started with a box, as you say. It's now literally tons of them that are delivered, and you're helping tens of thousands of kids. Tell me, Andy, what help are you actually giving in these places?
Yeah, our thing is more a referral network. We partner with all the other agencies from first aid, police, assault services, mental health services, councils, local government, hospitals, and basically we become the bridge, the middle people in between that. So we find people just in time needing assistance and get them assistance early, or we find them down the beaches and we walk them home. We actually do close to about 5,000 walk homes over schoolies, which is, for us, we've seen a 75% reduction in assaults in those last 10 years because of that. Just finding young people early that aren't in a good way and getting them out of harm's way so they're not easy prey for predators in these locations. So the teams do a great job. So walk homes is a big thing. We also do random acts of pancakes. We have a thing called the Red Frog Hotline, and last year we had 8,429 call-outs on the Red Frog Hotline. Now 2,464 of those were for random acts of pancakes. As they're getting hungry at 2 a.m, we make pancakes. We put food in them. One of the things, getting food in them while they're drinking, but also gets us in the unit to see who's passed out, who needs assistance, and then we can get the paramedics to check them out and assess them earlier rather than too late. So random acts of pancakes is massive. We also do entertainment stages. We figured that, hey, when kids are bored, they drink. We set up big dance stages all around Australia, and we dance them on sand for 5 hours and just wear them out. And that's actually taken about 3-4 hours of their drinking time every night, which is awesome. And again, that reduces a lot of incidents of property damage back in the hotel rooms. And then also, just visiting, just hanging out, having a bit of fun, playing a lot of Uno. There's a lot more non-drinkers now. Probably the last 5 years, half of schoolies aren't drinking much at all. So our teams are skilled in Uno challenges and games and hanging out and doing stuff as well.
Yeah, you mentioned predators. I guess there was quite lot of danger here with older people who turn up and can exploit young, drunk school students.
Yeah, spot on. Because it is pumped in the media, it just draws that undesirable element. And police have been great. They've cleared out a lot of the predators, and they've got it's one of the biggest policing operations in Australia outside of Commonwealth Games. So it's a massive event and massive response from police all around Australia, and they've done a great job to get rid of a lot of the toolies and hangers-on and people that cause incidents. In fact, probably 90% of all arrests are not schoolies. They're actually the hangers-on that come down and crash the party. So police are great and done a great job in early intervention to safeguard schoolies.
Now, the Red Frogs, as you say, are now very famous at schoolies, but also music festivals. You're in schools, university, colleges, 9 countries, I think it is now. What do people that you talk to think of when they think of the Red Frogs?
Yeah, we say our slogan is best friends since 1997. And when you're drunk and you give someone food, suddenly you're their best mate ever. But very much, so many people in Australia have Red Frog stories. And from now, because we're 28 years old, you've got partners and solicitors and engineers and senior CEOs in firms that back in their day, Red Frogs helped them. And so normally it's the story of, hey, Red Frogs helped me get me home safe, Red Frogs helped my mate, Red Frogs intervene in a really critical situation, or just purely Red Frogs made me pancakes at schoolies. So it walked me home. So there's so many Red Frog stories out there from many generations now. So we're now seeing the kids or original schoolies come do their schoolies. And it's amazing to see that generational cycle happen.
You've no doubt saved people's lives in this work.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes it worthwhile. All the organisation and the getting the accommodation and food and logistics and all the setup work for just those one stories. It's we save one, but the guys do amazing around early intervention, around suicide ideations. We dealt with 19 of those last year. None successful, thank God for that. But just being in the right building, at the right room, the right floor at the right time, just intervene just in time, or literally turn around a corner of a street and be at the right place at the right time. And just having those teams out there, being right place, right time, even stopping young people swimming in the ocean while they're drunk and potentially drowning, and intervene there, being on the beaches at the right time, at the right place. And so, it's incredible. The amount of stories and the amount of the things that didn't happen because of Red Frogs is mind-blowing.
When I was getting ready for schoolies this year, I was digging around in my box just looking for stuff to take down, and I came across this card that Christian wrote me 3 years ago.
2 days ago, on the 20th of November, you saved my life. You, along with Jono, Maddie, and the rest of the Red Frogs crew who came to my aid, saved me.
We met him in a place where we didn't judge him, we just sought to understand where he was coming from. We had no preconceived idea of what his behaviour meant, and we just wanted the best for him. And I think he really appreciated the fact that we just accepted him for who he was, and we had the patience to walk through the journey with him as well. And just to give him that encouragement that you're a person of value, your past doesn't define you, and there's always going to be better days ahead. I think he really responded and resonated well with that.
Kind of reading that has really brought me back to everything that happened on that day, everything that happened on that week. Reading this, you do see the sincere gratitude that I had for Chris and Jono and Maddie and everyone, all the Red Frogs that helped me on that night. Yeah. Ugh, crazy.
Tell me, Andy, about the pressures and the challenges for young people today, and perhaps the way that's changed or evolved in the time you've been doing this work. I can imagine you've noticed some things there.
Yeah, there's been a big culture shift, and schoolies is a lot safer than what it was back in the day, but also young people are getting a bit smarter. There's actually a real shift in social justice consciousness with the young generation. They're very social justice aware, and back in the day, they just let Jono sleep it off on the beach and cover him with sand and watch the seagulls peck at him. Now they're picking Jono up, walking him to the first aid tent, sitting with him for 3 hours and then walking him home. So there's an incredible social welfare mentality in this generation, which is absolutely awesome. So they're looking after each other so much better. But also there's a lot less drinkers, probably only 50% of drinking now. in that time. And so and we noticed that at the cafes all through Byron Bay, Early Beach, Gold Coast, Margaret River, Busselton, Lawn, Torquay, Phillip Island, Rye, cafes used to be empty during the day, but now come 9, 10 o'clock, they're full of schoolies doing their smashed over own lattes. They're almost like swapping beers for boost juices these days. So it's quite incredible, up doing their morning runs and yoga. So there's a real health, fitness bent in them, and a real chasing their highs more naturally than artificially as well.
So not an increase in drug use as the drinking's subsided a bit?
There's definitely an increase in drugs and also an increase in mental health related issues. But again, they're mainly with ones that are drinking and doing drugs as well. So but there's a big percentage not doing either of those. So yeah, definitely drugs is a bigger issue for us, and mental health related is a much bigger issue for us. But again, only about 50% of the population in that category now.
You've had over the years a huge need for and reliance on volunteers. How do you get them to do this work?
Yeah, it depends on the program. Like, our origin is from churches all around Australia, and there's over 520 different churches involved with Red Frogs of every denomination you could think of. And we recruit through the organisation, not individual, for schoolies. It only take one loose unit to get us on Today Tonight or Current Affair. So again, they have to be recommended from an organisation. Then they're working with Children's Card or Blue Card. Then they'll do our training and then go out under team leaders and teams of 4. So organisation is just a lot safer for us. But we do have programs that are a little bit more open, and they're like entry points where it's a bit safer to come in and volunteer. We do a lot of partnerships with sporting events in rugby and cricket, and skateboarding parks, surfing events, where it's a bit more open, where people can come and volunteer. And then in unis, we work through the residential colleges and can work with uni students as well. So, yeah, so mainly through churches around Australia. But again, some of our programs will have people from different organisations and businesses as well.
Does it give you must give you a lot of encouragement to see the armies of volunteers that you've seen involved in all the different facets of your work?
Absolutely mind-blowing that these individuals, mainly 18 to 25-year-olds, take a week out of their holidays or work. They pay to come to look after drunk people and do up to 20 Ks of walkovers a night. So it's quite incredible to see that sort of commitment and passion for their generation. And very much a lot of our froggers are around the same age group, and we love that, seeing peers helping peers, mates having mates. So, yeah, just outstanding, the sacrifice they made to look after a generation.
One of our great privileges of interacting with these schoolies is that we are the first response that they have. And when mum and dad aren't around, there's often some questions that come up. We have schoolies ring up asking how to use the washing machine. We're needing a new toothbrush.
One unit ring up and goes, "Oh, is this the Red Frog hotline?" I said, "Yeah, mate." He goes, "Oh, we've got an emergency." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "I've run out of toilet paper, can you guys bring some over?" I said, "Mate, Red Frogs, are pretty generous people. We don't go that far, mate." He goes, "Oh, no, it's okay. I found a loaf of bread," then hangs up. In all that, you get so many more serious calls, and our guys deal with hundreds of alcohol intoxications, and unfortunately a few drug ones too, that unfortunately is increasing a bit more with the young people really experimenting with drugs, and drugs becoming cheaper because of the cost-benefit thing for them. And it's really, really disturbing, some of those trends, but it's great that the teams can be there, and the call centre is the epicentre of Red Frogs at schoolies.
This is Life and Faith, and I'm speaking with Andy Gourley, the founder of Red Frogs, this organisation that does work in several countries now with young people who are out partying at schoolies or at music festivals or at university colleges, offering their Red Frogs, which are now a recognisable symbol of help on offer, a listening ear, assistance to get medical attention, food, or just people you can hang out with and play card games. I asked Andy to tell me some stories about the people who the Red Frogs have been able to help and what difference it made in their lives. Here's Andy again.
Yeah, one of our locations is Bali, and unfortunately over there you do get methanol poisoning where they don't distill the alcohol properly, and had a young girl named Jasmine who was out with her mates at a Bali club, and she had a couple of drinks but was feeling really strange, and she asked her mates to walk her home. And as she came out of the club, the Red Frog walk home tent was straight across the road, and the mates wanted to just get her home, but she said, no, let's see the Red Frogs, She comes over, one of our froggers just happened to be a nurse, so went, oh, hang on, no, this isn't just alcohol, this is methanol poisoning. And we were able to get her to the International Medical Centre, airlifted to Darwin, and literally saved her life. Now, Jasmine is now a mum, just got a 2-year-old, and lives on the Central Coast, and amazing story, just right place, right time. But again, it's incredible. So the places they find young people passed out down laneways and bushes, and we found this one kid. We were doing a patrol on this beach, and this kid was passed out on a low water mark as the tide was coming in. And so again, the team got him out of there, so again, wouldn't drown. So incredible, just those stories, just right place, right time.
Yeah. Now I've heard you talk about university colleges being like schoolies for the whole year. That's become a place that you've seen opportunity to do some good as well.
Yeah, definitely. Look, and credit to universities, halls of residence. They've done an amazing job to change the culture, make them now safe places for students to come. 30 years ago, that wasn't the case. There's a lot of hazing, a lot of really unhealthy alcohol behaviours. But through some great work, through different university organisations, the colleges themselves and halls themselves and residents themselves, and then partnering with the work of Red Frogs, has seen a massive culture shift in those areas as well. So again, so we do hydration stations on their pub nights, and we do coffee crawls instead of pub crawls. We do random acts of pancakes as well, just doing preload pancakes. And so very much the same thing we do at schoolies, we do in unis. And but again, it's great to see these good young leaders coming through to do amazing things, and a lot of them actually become froggers. So a lot of our frog base is uni students, so they do an amazing job.
Now, on your website, it talks about educating students to be a voice of change in their culture. What kind of change are you looking for there?
Yeah, well, culture change comes inside out, not outside in. And I think there's a lot of really good meaning organisations and programs out there. They come from an outside in approach where real culture change is changing the influences from inside out, which has a lot of success. But also culture change comes with little things over a long period of time. So just changing what you can now and being consistent in the little. And as you do that, it becomes big change. So we've seen some really radical change in schoolies and universities and festivals, and just through that culture change inside out programs that we do run, which we love to do.
Andy, tell me about your background and what it was that led you to this kind of work.
Yeah, I'm actually an accountant, mate, bean counter. So give me an Excel spreadsheet and I went home. But no, I did a Bachelor of Business Accountancy QT, and then worked as an accountant for a few years. But for me, I don't come from a church background, but I actually started going to church when I was 18. And I quite like a bit of a spiritual wedgie experience, mate, where I got reefed. And I realised that life's bigger than my accounting career, my Reds membership, my snowboard trips, but it's about others as well. So I got really challenged through my faith that not to be selfish and just build the kingdom of Andy and my little world and my little career and that, but actually to do something, useful for others. So for me, I did that through skateboarding because I grew up as a skater. I've been skateboarding 39 years now. I haven't really figured out how to stop yet, just love going fast down hills. And so just through my skateboarding, started skateboarding clubs for young grummies in my area that then led into this whole Red Frog thing as well. So I think there's for me, it was about a real challenge to put others first above yourself. And for me, learning the art of being second. So putting others first and you second. And, now, of course, you got to look after yourself. You got to make sure you rest. You got to have your downtime, have your family time, and be smart with that. It's not being stupid with it, but a philosophy of others first is very rewarding and fulfilling, and also very growing too as an individual.
Yeah, well, it's a very strong part of Christianity that at least calls you to that kind of life, right? The sort of outward focus, the idea of laying down your life for other people. Tell me a bit more about that in terms of what you've seen others experience, because from a faith perspective, that would say, yes, you're giving up some things there, but it's actually the most fulfilling life you can find.
Yeah, absolutely. Red Frogs has been amazing for me personally. It's when you are helping others and see some of the predicaments other people in, it makes you very thankful for what you've been given and what you have. And sometimes I think we blow up things too big because we're living just in our own little worlds, and we make mountains out of molehills sometimes. But when you get out and you're serving others, looking after others too, it actually puts in perspective to say, hey, maybe my life isn't that bad. Maybe these struggles isn't as, bad that I can do this, And so it builds a lot of resilience, builds a lot of capacity, builds a lot of perspective on life and what's important in life as well. So I'm so thankful I didn't get caught up in the rat race of study 20 years, work 40, retire and die. A lot of people go on this rat race and then work out, oh, hang on, life's a bit more than that. So I think, true Christianity to me is relationships, and having relationships with yourself and others and who God is. And so for me, everything flows out of relationships.
When you look at it now, and it's incredible growth of this movement that came from that initial response of yours to get down to the Gold Coast and help people out, it must be incredibly satisfying to have watched that evolve in the way that it has and be able to do so much good.
Oh, it's pretty mind-blowing. It isn't mind-blowing. Like, it's when you wear a Red Frog shirt down at schoolies, it's like you won X Factor or Australian Idol, mate. You're getting high-fived every corner. And then to go to, all over Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Canada, France, US, and see the same thing happening over there. And yeah, just mind-blowing, the response. And I was just in Nashville with our team over there. They Red Frog, the Country Music Association Festival, 800,000 in 4 days. And just turning the news on in Nashville and hearing the head of police talk about Red Frogs, and then meeting the mayor of Nashville talking about Red Frogs, and just incredible just to see how it's grown and influenced, and through all the high schools and unis and festivals. Yeah, absolutely mind-blowing, mate. Definitely wasn't a plan. I never planned to give lollies to students for a living, mate, so I thought people like that were sketchy. But it's just incredible to see what good's come out of, such a little thing.
There's been a lot of young people who have really been able to dream again after encountering Red Frogs, and the service we provide and the encouragement. These aren't just schoolies. They're our future leaders, future politicians and doctors and leaders of our country.
People are always coming up to me saying, you saved my life. You saved my brothers or sisters' lives. We love you guys so much. It wasn't me personally that did that, but I know that it was a Red Frogger.
Tell me, Andy, two things. Something that you are most fearful about when you think about young people now, but then also what gives you the most hope for them.
Yeah, look, I just on the hope side, straight up, they're just such a smarter generation. They're just really incredible. The decisions they're making are better. They're just smarter. This is a great generation coming through, and I think it's getting healthier and healthier in a lot of ways. What worries me is, I guess, that lack of resilience, particularly around mental health, and also understanding their capacity is more than what they think it is. So I think this, through media, through things like the COVID era, all that, it's just put this real fear in young people that they can't do it, that they don't have the strength to do it, but they have a lot more resilience in what they think, and not being fooled by, just negative thinking, but probably establishing those positive mindsets and the right people support around you, because you're not strong all the time. You're going to have low times, but it's about having the right peer group to help you during those times, and also to have enough strength to reach out when you're not doing well is a sign of strength right there. So, but in that, you can do more, you can be more, and you're born for more too. So I think not settling for second best is what my fear is, to settle for second best. So it's hopefully, this generation can do bigger things than we've done.
And there must have been some moments, Andy, where you're standing late at night, there's drunk, vomiting kids around you, and you must have wondered, what am I doing here? What kept you going?
Oh, mate, I'm at home. I'm seriously at home in that environment. I just think, wow. And to tell you what, we do some events for med students, and med students work very hard and are going to be some of the real leaders in our society. But when they're young, they do party as well. And there's no greater honour than holding a vomit bag for a med student going, mate, thank you so much. I said, mate, you're going to be doing this for me the rest of your life. This is the least I can do. So it's an honour. It's an honour to be here. These are our future leaders, our future doctors, engineers, lawyers, media personalities, sporting personalities. It's an absolute privilege to be there, to walk them home, get them home safe, to intervene while they're in that state. So for me, I love it. It's just a real privilege to be in those situations.
Well, it's a great perspective. It's obviously kept you going for a long time, Andy, and all power to you. How many tonnes of frogs are turning up this year?
Mate, 24 tonnes of red frogs, mate. So to give you an idea, there's 500 kilo to a pallet. That's 48 pallets, so about 2 semi-trailers worth right there.
That's an incredible story. I'm warned all the time to not skateboard because I'm too old, but you've given me a bit of inspiration today in that area as well. Perhaps it's not too late.
Mate, Clint Eastwood said, very wise man, a man's got to know his limitations. So sometimes it's good to stay on 2 feet too, mate.
Okay, I'll take that as wise advice. So, Andy, it's great chatting to you today. I love the work, love hearing about it, and thanks for sharing it with us today on Life and Faith.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you.
This has been Life and Faith with me, Simon Smart. Thanks so much to Andy Gourley for telling us the Red Frogs story. And you can find out more about the work of Red Frogs at redfrogs.com.au. Also, how you can become a volunteer and become part of the Red Frogs story, offering help to young people who need it. We'll put links in the show notes. And if you know someone going to schoolies this year, or perhaps a parent or carer of someone going this year, you might like to pass this episode on to them. Thanks to our producer Alan Douthwaite, who no doubt could have done with some Red Frogs help when he was a young fella. Next time.
So many phrases we use are just biblical phrases, like cast the first stone, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
Lamb to the slaughter, I think. The salt of the earth. The sign of the times. There's tons of these.
There's so many. In fact, the idioms of English draw themselves mainly from the Bible.